They warned them not to open it. Ancient inscriptions whispered, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the pharaoh." But in 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter ignored the warnings and broke the seal of King Tutankhamun's tomb untouched for more than 3,000 years. Inside were treasures beyond imagination, solid gold, jeweled masks, and the perfectly preserved body of the boy king. But soon after, strange things began to happen. The man who funded the dig, Lord Carnarvon, was bitten by a mosquito. The wound got infected, and he died mysteriously. The lights in Cairo flickered out at the exact moment of his death. Then others followed. Dozens who entered the tomb died under bizarre circumstances: blood poisoning, pneumonia, car crashes, even suicide. The newspapers went wild, calling it the Curse of the Pharaohs. Scientists dismissed it, saying it was all coincidence, or maybe ancient mold sealed in the tomb for centuries. Still, too many deaths, too many strange timings. What if the ancients really did know something we don't? What if the curse wasn't a myth, but a warning from a civilization that understood death better than we ever will? One thing is certain, ever since that day, no one has opened an untouched royal tomb without feeling that same chill, the same whisper from 3,000 years ago. Do not disturb the sleep of the dead.
Imagine a place where all the knowledge of the ancient world was gathered in one colossal building. Scrolls from Greece, Egypt, Persia, and India all resting side by side. This was the Library of Alexandria, the greatest treasure of human wisdom ever assembled. It was said to hold the secrets of lost technologies, forgotten medicines, even maps of lands yet to be discovered. Philosophers, scientists, and inventors traveled across continents just to read from its endless shelves. Some believed that within those walls were answers to immortality, to the stars, and to the mysteries of creation itself. And then it was gone, burned, destroyed, vanished from history. No one even knows how. Some blame Julius Caesar's fire. Others say it was the work of fanatics centuries later. But the truth disappeared with the smoke. What exactly was lost that day? Was it just scrolls, or the blueprint of an ancient world far more advanced than we can imagine? Some whisper that not everything was destroyed, that a few scrolls survived, hidden away, guarded, passed down in secret through generations of scholars and secret societies. Maybe, somewhere, fragments of that ancient power still exist. Knowledge so dangerous, so world-changing, that humanity wasn't ready for it. The Library of Alexandria didn't just hold books. It held the mind of civilization itself. And when it burned, a part of our history, and perhaps our future, burned with it.
They were the most powerful warriors of the Middle Ages, the Knights Templar, a secretive brotherhood sworn to protect pilgrims and serve God. But behind their white cloaks and red crosses lay something far more mysterious. It began in Jerusalem in the early 1100s. The first Templars dug deep beneath the Temple Mount, the holiest site in the city. For years, no one knew what they were looking for. When they finally emerged, everything changed. Overnight, the poor knights became unbelievably wealthy. Kings owed them money. Popes granted them privileges above the law. It was as if they had found something that gave them untouchable power. Whispers spread through Europe. Had they discovered the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or a secret that could shake Christianity itself? Some believed they uncovered ancient scrolls buried since Solomon's time, knowledge that proved humanity's divine origins. Others said they found relics so powerful they could control life and death. But power breeds fear. The Church turned on them. In 1307, the Templars were arrested, tortured, and executed, accused of heresy, devil worship, and unspeakable rituals. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned alive, cursing the Pope and the King, both of whom died shortly after. Their treasure was never found, their secrets never revealed. And under the Temple Mount, tunnels still run deep, sealed, silent, untouched for centuries. Some say what the Templars found there is still waiting, buried beneath the stones, hidden from a world that was never meant to know.
For centuries, people have dreamed of a spring that could wash away age itself, the fountain of youth, a mythical source of eternal life. Every legend describes it differently, but they all agree on one thing: whoever drinks its waters never grows old. When Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon set sail in the early 1500s, he wasn't just chasing new lands, he was chasing immortality. His journey led him to what we now call Florida, where he believed the fountain was hidden among the lush swamps and endless rivers. But he never found it, or so the story goes. Some say he did find something, a hidden spring used by native tribes, said to heal wounds and restore strength. Others claim the fountain was never physical at all, but a metaphor, a reminder that humans would trade everything for one more year of youth. Still, strange stories persist. Remote villages where no one seems to age. Ancient maps marking waters of life. Even scientists have searched for real biological fountains, cells that can renew themselves forever. Maybe the fountain of youth isn't a place to be found, but a secret we were never meant to fully unlock. Because if humanity ever discovers how to live forever, what would we lose in exchange?
It looks like an ordinary block of sandstone, rough, gray, unremarkable. But for over 1,000 years, the Stone of Destiny has been said to hold the power to choose who rules nations. According to legend, it was the very stone Jacob rested his head upon in the Bible, the one where he dreamed of angels climbing to heaven. From there, it was carried to Ireland, where ancient kings were crowned upon it at Tara. When the rightful heir sat on the stone, it would roar with approval. If the claim was false, it stayed silent. Later, the stone was taken to Scotland, becoming the heart of the coronation ceremony at Scone Abbey. Every Scottish king was crowned upon it, until England invaded. King Edward I seized the stone in 1296 and brought it to Westminster Abbey, building it into his throne so every English monarch would sit above the captured power of Scotland. For centuries, it lay there, a silent witness to the rise and fall of empires. But in 1950, something unbelievable happened. A group of Scottish students broke into Westminster Abbey and stole it back, returning it to Scotland like a piece of a stolen soul. Today, the stone rests in Edinburgh Castle, but it's still brought to London whenever a new monarch is crowned. And as the crown is placed, the question lingers: is it just a relic of the past, or does the Stone of Destiny still whisper who is worthy to rule?
Over 2,700 years ago, 10 tribes of ancient Israel vanished from history. Entire families, men, women, and children,
were taken away by the Assyrian Empire and never seen again. They became known as the Lost Tribes of Israel, a mystery that has haunted scholars, explorers, and believers for centuries. Where did they go? Some say they scattered across Asia and Europe, blending into other nations. Others claim they traveled east, founding hidden kingdoms in remote mountains and deserts. A few legends even say they journeyed beyond known lands, to places where no man has ever dwelled. In the Middle Ages, rumors spread of a powerful Jewish kingdom ruled by a mysterious priest king named Prester John. Some thought he was one of the lost tribes, holding ancient knowledge and waiting for the right time to return. In modern times, explorers have found communities in Africa, India, and even Japan, with ancient customs that strangely mirror those of early Israel. Festivals, songs, and rituals no one could explain. Could fragments of those 10 tribes still be living among us, hidden in plain sight? Or did their bloodlines fade into the endless river of history? One thing's for sure, the story of the lost tribes isn't over, because every time a new discovery is made, a voice from the ancient past seems to whisper, "We were never truly lost."
It was said to be the most powerful object ever created, the Ark of the Covenant, a chest built to hold the tablets of the 10 Commandments, crafted under direct orders from God Himself. But according to ancient texts, it was far more than a sacred box. It was a weapon. The Ark could level armies, split rivers, and strike down anyone who dared to touch it. When the Israelites carried it into battle, enemies fell without a single sword raised. Priests described it surrounded by fire and lightning, as if it contained the energy of creation itself. But then, it vanished. Somewhere between the fall of Jerusalem and the rise of Babylon, the Ark disappeared without a trace. For centuries, explorers, priests, and even kings have searched for it. Some claim it was hidden beneath the Temple Mount, locked in tunnels sealed by time. Others say it was smuggled to Ethiopia, where a single guardian still watches over it in a secluded church, forbidden to let anyone see it. There are whispers that the Ark wasn't just a relic, but a device, a technology far beyond its age, something ancient humanity didn't build, but was given. Every generation thinks they can find it. Every government that looks for it does so in secret. Because if the Ark truly holds the power of God, whoever finds it first could control the world.
Every culture on Earth tells the same story. A world drowned by water, a handful of survivors, and a new beginning. From the Bible story of Noah's Ark to the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, to flood myths in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, the details change, but the message is always the same. Humanity was wiped clean, and life started over. Was it just a shared myth or a memory buried deep in our past? Modern science has uncovered clues that make the legend harder to dismiss. Around 12,000 years ago, at the end of the Ice Age, sea levels rose by more than 400 feet. Entire coastlines vanished. Cities, if they existed, would now be under the waves. In the Black Sea region, archaeologists found evidence of a sudden flood so massive it could have inspired countless legends. Could ancient humans have witnessed global cataclysm, a real flood so terrifying it became the foundation of every culture's creation story?
Some believe the survivors of that event were the mysterious builders of early civilizations, carrying fragments of lost knowledge, warning future generations of what once destroyed the world. Maybe the Great Flood wasn't just a myth. Maybe it was a message, carved into the memory of mankind itself, that nature always reclaims what humanity forgets.
For centuries, people thought it was just a story, the Trojan War, told by Homer in the Iliad. A tale of gods and heroes, love and betrayal, fought for the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy. But what if it wasn't just a myth? What if it really happened? The legend says it began when Helen, wife of the Spartan king, was taken by Paris of Troy. To bring her back, the Greeks launched 1,000 ships and laid siege to the mighty city for 10 long years. The war ended with a trick. A massive wooden horse rolled inside the city walls. The Trojans thought it was a gift. That night, Greek soldiers hidden inside opened the gates, and Troy burned. For centuries, no one believed such a city ever existed until the 19th century, when a German archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann uncovered ruins in modern-day Turkey that matched Homer's descriptions almost perfectly. Buried layers of walls, weapons, and ashes told a story of a city destroyed by war and fire. But here's the mystery. Was it the Troy of legend, or just one of many ancient battles turned into myth? Were Achilles, Hector, and Helen real, or symbols of something greater? Maybe the Trojan War was more than history or fiction. Maybe it was both, a real conflict remembered for so long that it became eternal, a story that proved one thing about humanity. Our greatest wars always begin with the smallest desires: pride, beauty, revenge.
It's the most mysterious book ever discovered, the Voynich Manuscript, a 600-year-old text written in a language no one on Earth can read. Its pages are filled with bizarre drawings, plants that don't exist, strange star maps, women bathing in pools connected by tubes, and symbols that match no known alphabet. Every letter, every pattern seems to follow rules, but not any rules we understand. Historians, cryptographers, even code breakers from the CIA have tried to crack it. None succeeded. Some say it's a hoax, an elaborate prank from the Middle Ages, but the handwriting, the precision, the ink, and the consistent grammar suggest it's real, a structured language built on logic we simply can't grasp. Others believe it's not from Earth at all, a message from another civilization or another time. Some see it as an alchemical guide, others as a lost encyclopedia of forgotten knowledge. The book was found in 1912, but its origins vanish long before that, its author unknown, its purpose hidden. Radiocarbon dating places it in the early 1400s, but for what reason it was made, no one can say. Every decoding attempt ends in frustration. Every clue leads to more questions. It's as if the book is alive, protecting its secrets, rewriting itself in silence. And maybe, just maybe, the Voynich manuscript isn't meant to be read. Maybe it's meant to remind us that even in a world of infinite information, some mysteries are not meant to be solved.
It's one of the most feared places on Earth, a stretch of ocean between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, known as the Bermuda Triangle, a place where ships vanish, planes disappear, and compasses spin wildly out of control. Since the 1940s, over 1,000 people have gone missing here, with no distress calls, no wreckage, nothing, just silence. One of the most famous cases was Flight 19, a squadron of U.S. bombers that took off on a clear day in 1945 and never came back. The rescue plane sent after them vanished too.
What's hiding beneath those turquoise waters? Some blame sudden storms, magnetic anomalies, or methane gas bubbling from the sea floor, but others believe the triangle is something else entirely. A portal, a rip in time and space swallowing anything that enters. Divers have reported strange underwater ruins, glowing lights, even impossible compasses that point straight down. The Navy denies it all, yet the disappearances keep happening. Maybe it's nature's perfect trap, or maybe it's something older, a force guarding a secret buried deep below. Whatever the truth, one thing's certain. When you enter the Bermuda Triangle, you're not just crossing water. You're crossing the thin line between our world and whatever lies beyond it.
What if the world we live on isn't solid but hollow? Deep beneath our feet, entire civilizations, ancient suns, and lost species might exist, hidden inside the Earth itself. This is the Hollow Earth theory, one of history's strangest and most fascinating ideas. It began centuries ago when explorers noticed strange magnetic readings near the poles. Some believed there were vast openings leading into the planet's interior, gateways to another world. Tales emerged of travelers who claimed to have gone inside and found a paradise, warm, green, and lit by a glowing inner sun. In the 1940s, a U.S. Navy officer named Admiral Richard Byrd supposedly flew over the North Pole and reported seeing lush forests, strange animals, and people who lived beneath the ice before his report was mysteriously classified. Could there really be an entire ecosystem, even intelligent life, living inside the Earth? Some myths say the inner world is Agartha, ruled by beings far more advanced than us, guiding humanity in secret. Others think it's the last refuge of ancient civilizations, the survivors of cataclysms that wiped out the surface. Science says it's impossible, but myths, legends, and unexplained phenomena keep the idea alive. Maybe we've been looking to the stars for answers when the real mystery lies below our feet.
They've been called relics of the gods, tools of prophecy, and proof of alien contact. The crystal skulls, perfectly carved human skulls made of solid quartz, found in ancient ruins across Central and South America. Each skull is a masterpiece, carved with impossible precision against the grain of the crystal, using no modern tools. Even with today's technology, replicating them would be nearly impossible without leaving marks, yet some of these skulls are said to be thousands of years old. The most famous is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, discovered in the 1920s in the jungles of Belize. It's carved from a single block of pure quartz, with removable jaw and microscopic detail so flawless it seems almost grown rather than made. Legends say there were once 13 skulls scattered around the world, and when united, they would reveal the secrets of humanity's origin or unleash a power beyond comprehension. Some believe they're alien artifacts, data storage devices made with technology we've long forgotten. Others think they were ceremonial objects, symbols of death, rebirth, and the soul's journey. But here's the mystery. No one knows who made them, how, or why. Scientists can't agree. The tribes who guard them say they were gifts from the sky gods, meant to remind us where we came from. Maybe the truth isn't in what the skulls are, but in what they represent, a silent message from the ancient world, carved in stone, waiting for humanity to finally understand. In 1901, sponge divers off the coast of a tiny Greek island called Antikythera discovered something that changed history – a rusted lump of bronze gears buried for 2,000 years beneath the sea. At first, it looked like a corroded piece of junk,
But when scientists began to study it, they realized it was anything but. This was the Antikythera mechanism, a machine built around 100 BC, long before the invention of modern clocks or computers. Inside were more than 30 intricate bronze gears, perfectly designed to predict the motion of the planets, the phases of the moon, even eclipses, all with astonishing accuracy. It was, quite literally, the world's first analog computer. No other civilization on Earth had anything close to it for another 1,000 years. The level of engineering, the mathematics, the understanding of astronomy, it shouldn't have existed. Yet it did. Who built it? Some say it came from the workshop of Archimedes, the Greek genius whose inventions were centuries ahead of his time. Others believe it was based on knowledge passed down from an even older, forgotten civilization, one that mastered technology long before recorded history. The device lay hidden in the sea for millennia, and even today, scientists still can't fully reconstruct how it was made. Every new scan reveals another layer of precision, another mystery hidden in metal. The Antikythera mechanism isn't just a relic, it's a message from the past, proof that ancient people were far smarter, far more advanced, and far more mysterious than we ever imagined.
In the deserts of southern Peru, there lies one of humanity's greatest mysteries, the Nazca lines. Enormous drawings carved into the earth, stretching for miles across the barren landscape. From the ground, they look like random scratches, but from above, they form perfect shapes, animals, humans, and strange geometric patterns. The question is, why? Some say the Nazca people made them as offerings to their gods, colossal messages only visible from the heavens. Others believe they were ancient calendars, aligning with stars and solstices to mark time and rituals. But then there's the theory that changed everything, that the Nazca Desert was once an ancient airfield. In the 1960s, researchers noticed that many of the long, straight lines look like modern runways. Some stretch for kilometers, perfectly level and smooth, as if designed for something or someone to land. Combine that with local legends of sky gods descending from above, and the mystery deepens. No one knows how the Nazca created such massive designs without seeing them from the sky. There were no hills, no towers, and yet the figures are perfectly symmetrical. Were they messages to the divine? Ritual pathways for the dead? Or signs left for visitors from beyond our world? Thousands of years later, the desert still guards its secret, and the lines, etched into the earth, untouched by time, still seem to whisper to the sky.
High above Earth, beyond the reach of most telescopes, something strange has been orbiting our planet for decades, maybe even thousands of years. It's called the Black Knight satellite, and its origin is one of the most haunting mysteries in modern history. It all began in the 1950s when both the US and the Soviet Union detected an unidentified object circling Earth long before any nation had launched a satellite. It wasn't supposed to be there. It moved in odd patterns, in a polar orbit, something no human technology could do at the time. Then came the signals. Radio operators around the world began picking up a strange transmission, repeating patterns that didn't match any known source. Some believed it was a coded message. Others thought it was an ancient beacon or a warning. Photographs taken during space missions later showed a dark, irregular object drifting silently above our planet. NASA called it space debris, but skeptics weren't convinced. The shape didn't match any known spacecraft or fragment. According to legend, the Black Knight has been orbiting Earth for 13,000 years, long before modern civilization even existed. Some say it's a probe left by an ancient alien race, watching humanity rise and fall. Others think it's a relic of a forgotten human age, proof that advanced civilizations may have existed long before recorded history. Whatever it is, it's still out there, silent, unblinking, and always watching. And maybe, just maybe, it's been waiting for us to finally notice. It's said to be the most powerful weapon in history, not because of its steel, but because of what it touched. The Spear of Destiny, also known as the Holy Lance, is believed to be the very spear that pierced the side of Jesus Christ during the crucifixion. But according to legend, whoever possesses it holds the fate of the world in their hands. For centuries, the spear passed through the shadows of history. Emperors, kings, and conquerors all sought it, convinced it gave them divine power to rule. Charlemagne, who united much of Europe, was said to have carried it into every battle. When he died, the spear slipped from his grasp and his empire fell soon after. Centuries later, it found its way into the hands of Adolf Hitler, who reportedly became obsessed with it. When the Allies seized the spear at the end of World War II, Hitler took his own life just hours later. Coincidence? Or the curse of destiny fulfilled once again? But here is the deeper mystery. There isn't just one spear. Multiple relics across Europe claim to be the true one, each with its own eerie history, each surrounded by death, war, and downfall. Is it merely an ancient weapon, or a symbol of something darker? A relic that binds power, faith, and fate together? Because if the legends are true, the Spear of Destiny doesn't just pierce flesh. It chooses who will rise and who will fall.
In the heart of medieval Paris, there lived a quiet bookseller named Nicolas Flamel, a man who, according to legend, unlocked the ultimate secret – eternal life. History remembers him as a scholar and philanthropist, but the whispers tell a darker, more extraordinary story – that Flamel discovered the Philosopher's Stone, the mythical substance said to turn metal into gold and grant immortality. It began when Flamel supposedly came across an ancient manuscript filled with mysterious symbols and coded instructions. For years he studied it obsessively, traveling across Europe in search of those who could decipher its meaning. And then he vanished from public life. When he returned, everything changed. He was suddenly incredibly wealthy, yet claimed to have made no new trade or discovery. His wife, once frail and aging, appeared youthful again. And after his death, or what people thought was his death, his tomb was found empty. Centuries later, reports of Flamel sightings spread across Europe, from London to India. Always the same man, ageless, quiet, watching. Even the alchemy texts of the 17th century referenced him as still alive. Was Nicolas Flamel truly an immortal alchemist? Did he find the key to endless life, or simply become the most successful legend ever told? Maybe, somewhere, hidden in a dusty library or beneath the streets of Paris, his secret still waits, written in a code only the worthy can understand.
In 1587, more than 100 English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They dreamed of building the first permanent English colony in the New World. But when a supply ship returned 3 years later, the entire colony had vanished. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no trace of where they went. Only one word carved into a wooden post: Croatoan. it became one of the greatest mysteries in American history. Did they join nearby native tribes? Were they wiped out by disease, war, or famine? Or did something stranger happen, something no one could explain? Some accounts tell of European-looking people seen living among tribes years later, blue-eyed children who spoke both English and native tongues. Others claim the settlers fled inland and were swallowed by the wilderness. But then there are the eerie theories, whispers of curses, alien abduction, even supernatural vanishings tied to the word Croatoan, which has appeared mysteriously throughout history, carved into trees, scrawled in dying men's journals, and even found near other unexplained disappearances centuries later. The truth remains buried in time. An entire colony, men, women, and children, simply erased from existence, leaving behind only one haunting word: Croatoan.
On the morning of June 30, 1908, the sky above the Siberian wilderness lit up brighter than the sun. A fireball exploded over the Tunguska River, flattening 80 million trees across more than 2,000 square kilometers. The blast was so powerful it could have destroyed an entire city, yet there was no crater and no trace of what caused it. Witnesses miles away described a burning sky, a shock wave that shattered windows, and a heat so intense it scorched the ground. Some claimed they saw a glowing craft streak across the heavens before the explosion, moving unlike any meteor they'd ever seen. For decades, scientists called it a meteor impact, but no fragments were ever found. No metal, no stone, nothing. Just scorched trees, all pointing away from a single, invisible center. Then came the wild theories that it was a UFO that exploded mid-air, an alien energy source gone wrong, or even a secret Tesla experiment that unleashed uncontrollable power from afar. Some researchers say it wasn't from space at all, but from deep beneath the Earth, a burst of unknown energy tearing through the surface. More than a century later, the Tunguska site is still eerily silent. No towns, no monuments, just endless forest where trees still grow in strange, twisted patterns. Whatever happened that day, it wasn't just an explosion. It was a warning from the edge of the unknown. In the winter of 1692, the quiet Puritan village of Salem, Massachusetts, became the stage for one of the darkest chapters in history, a time when fear itself took human form. It began with two young girls who claimed to be possessed, screaming, convulsing, and accusing neighbors of witchcraft. Within weeks, the hysteria spread like wildfire. Friends turned on friends. Families were torn apart. By the end, over 200 people were accused, and 20 were executed, all in the name of purging evil. To most, it was a tragic example of mass panic, fueled by superstition and paranoia. But some believe something deeper and darker was at work. The girls' strange fits, the eerie happenings, the animals behaving violently. Were they faking it, or was something truly possessing them? Some historians suspect hallucinogenic fungus in the bread caused visions and madness. Others point to hidden pagan rituals that the Puritans feared but never understood. And then there are those who claim the trials weren't hysteria at all, but an occult battle cloaked in religion, a moment when something supernatural truly brushed against our world. Even now, Salem feels heavy, haunted by whispers from the past. Maybe it wasn't just fear that cursed the town. Maybe it was something real,
something ancient, and it never truly left.
Deep beneath Vatican City lies one of the most secretive places on Earth, a vast, guarded vault said to contain over 12 centuries of hidden history. It's called the Vatican Secret Archives, and for centuries it's fueled whispers of forbidden knowledge, lost relics, and truths too dangerous for the world to know. The Church insists it's just a collection of documents, papal records, correspondence, and archives of religious history. But many believe the truth runs far deeper. Some say it holds proof of extraterrestrial contact, hidden accounts of miracles, or documents revealing the true origins of Christianity. Others whisper about ancient prophecies, the chronicles of exorcisms, or evidence of lost gospels that could rewrite everything we know about faith. Only a handful of people are allowed inside: the Pope, select scholars, and archivists bound by silence. Even they only access tiny fragments at a time. What's behind those sealed doors? Perhaps letters from Jesus' followers never seen by the public, or the real third secret of Fatima, one so terrifying it's kept from humanity. Some even claim the archives protect relics of immense power, the Spear of Destiny, the Crown of Thorns, or texts that describe ancient technology mistaken for divine miracles. No cameras, no photographs, no free access. Just miles of shelves stretching into darkness, filled with the echoes of history the world was never meant to read. Because in the heart of the Vatican, the greatest secrets are the ones still locked away.
It's one of the most studied, debated, and mysterious artifacts in the world, a single piece of linen cloth faintly marked with the image of a man who appears to have been crucified. It's called the Shroud of Turin, and millions believe it bears the true face of Jesus Christ. The cloth first appeared in medieval France, but scientists say the image itself defies explanation. It isn't painted, burned, or stained. It's a photographic negative centuries before photography existed. When developed in the 19th century, the face on the shroud suddenly appeared in stunning detail. Eyes closed, wounds visible, and an almost lifelike expression of peace after agony. Carbon dating once claimed it was a medieval fake, but newer studies argue the samples were taken from a repaired section of fabric. Others point out that pollen grains found on the shroud match plants from Jerusalem, and traces of Roman-era coins seem to rest on the eyes of the figure. So how did the image form? Some say it's the result of a divine flash, the very moment of resurrection captured as energy burned into cloth. Others believe it's a relic of a lost technology, or proof of something far beyond human understanding. Whether miracle, mystery, or masterpiece, the Shroud of Turin continues to haunt science and faith alike, because if it truly is what believers claim, then we may be looking into the face of eternity itself.
Off the coast of Nova Scotia lies a small patch of land that has consumed lives, fortunes, and sanity for over 2 centuries, Oak Island, home to the world's most cursed treasure hunt. It all began in 1795 when 3 young men discovered a strange depression in the ground beneath an old oak tree with a broken pulley hanging from its branch. As they dug, they found layers of timber platforms, one every 10 feet, as if someone had deliberately hidden something deep below. Word spread that it was pirate treasure, perhaps belonging to Captain Kidd or even Blackbeard himself. But every time diggers got close, disaster struck. The pit flooded mysteriously from underground tunnels, swallowing equipment, gold, and sometimes lives.
6 people have died searching for the treasure, fueling the legend of the Oak Island Curse, which warns that 7 must die before the treasure will be found. Over the years, explorers have uncovered strange artifacts, ancient coins, parchments, inscribed stones, and even metallic fragments that don't match any known origin. Some believe it hides the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or the lost manuscripts of Shakespeare. Others think Oak Island isn't a treasure site at all, but a giant trap built by a secret society to guard knowledge too powerful for mankind. After 200 years, millions of dollars, and endless digging, the mystery remains unsolved. Something lies buried beneath Oak Island, something that's been waiting, watching, and protecting itself from discovery. And until the final secret is unearthed, the island will never give up what it hides.
In the heart of the Bermuda Triangle, deep beneath the dark Atlantic waves, sonar scans have revealed something that shouldn't exist: massive crystal pyramids, towering structures said to be even larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. The first reports came in the 1960s, when oceanographer Dr. Ray Brown claimed to have discovered one while diving near the Bahamas. He described smooth, glass-like walls, perfectly polished, glowing faintly in the deep blue darkness. Inside, he said, floated a crystal sphere suspended in midair, pulsing with strange energy. Skeptics laughed, but then came the sonar images, showing symmetrical pyramid-shaped formations thousands of feet below the surface. Too perfect to be natural, too advanced to be ancient ruins. So what are they? Some believe they're remnants of Atlantis, the legendary lost civilization said to have vanished beneath the waves. Others think they're energy generators, left behind by an ancient race, their power still humming faintly, creating the strange magnetic anomalies that cause ships and planes to vanish in the Bermuda Triangle. Even modern researchers report bizarre readings near the site, compasses spinning wildly, electrical equipment failing, and mysterious glowing orbs seen rising from the depths. If the crystal pyramids are real, they could rewrite everything we know about ancient history. Proof that a civilization with advanced technology existed long before ours. But perhaps the reason no one's ever reached them is because something down there doesn't want to be found.
It's one of the most recognizable monuments on Earth, the Great Sphinx of Giza, guardian of the pyramids, carved from solid limestone and staring eternally into the desert. But beneath its silent gaze lies a mystery that could rewrite the history of civilization itself. Officially, the Sphinx was built around 2500 BC for Pharaoh Khafre. But cracks in that story and in the Sphinx itself suggest something far older. Some geologists point to erosion patterns caused not by desert winds, but by heavy rainfall that hasn't touched the Giza Plateau since at least 10,000 BC. That means the Sphinx could predate all of ancient Egypt, built thousands of years before the pharaohs even existed. But if that's true, who built it? Some researchers believe it was constructed by a lost civilization, one wiped out by a cataclysm, perhaps the same event that inspired the legend of Atlantis. Others think it was part of a network of monuments aligned with the stars, marking knowledge from an age humanity has forgotten. And then there are the secrets beneath it. Underground chambers detected by radar scans, sealed off and never opened. Ancient texts call them the Halls of Records, said to contain the wisdom of a civilization that came before Egypt, and maybe before recorded history itself. The Sphinx has seen empires rise and fall, deserts shift, and centuries vanish. And yet it still stands, silent, watchful, and ancient beyond understanding, as if guarding not just the pyramids,
but the truth of our forgotten past.
It's one of the most controversial and electrifying theories in religious history. The idea that Jesus Christ didn't die childless, but left behind a bloodline that secretly shaped the course of civilization. According to legend, after the crucifixion, Mary Magdalene fled Jerusalem, carrying not only the teachings of Christ, but his child. She supposedly found refuge in southern France, where her descendants became entwined with royal blood, giving birth to a hidden lineage that would one day rule kingdoms under divine right. Some say this sacred bloodline evolved into the Merovingian dynasty, the mysterious early kings of France said to possess supernatural power and divine authority. Others believe it's been protected for centuries by secret societies, like the Priory of Sion or even the Knights Templar, guardians of the greatest secret in Christian history. Throughout time, hints of this hidden truth have surfaced in coded symbols, ancient texts, and works of art like Da Vinci's The Last Supper, which some claim subtly reveals Mary Magdalene beside Jesus, not a male disciple. If true, it would mean the Church has spent centuries burying evidence that Jesus' legacy was not only spiritual, but biological, a royal bloodline that still flows through veins today. Is it blasphemy, conspiracy, or the greatest cover-up in history? Because if the blood of Christ still walks among us, then humanity's divine story might not have ended 2,000 years ago. It may still be unfolding.
What if everything we know about history, the calendars, the empires, the Middle Ages, was partly made up? That's the shocking claim behind the phantom time hypothesis, a theory that says nearly 300 years of history never actually happened. It all started with a German historian named Herbert Illig, who noticed strange inconsistencies in the historical record, gaps in architecture, missing archaeological evidence, and oddly synchronized calendars. His conclusion? The years 614 to 911 AD were fabricated, inserted into history by powerful rulers. According to the theory, Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II conspired to rewrite the timeline to place themselves in the millennium year 1000 AD, a symbolic, divine moment of power. To do it, they simply added centuries that never existed, backdating events, forging documents, and altering the calendar itself. If that's true, then figures like Charlemagne, one of Europe's greatest emperors, may have never existed at all. Entire wars, inventions, and dynasties could be nothing but elaborate fiction. Skeptics say it's absurd, that too much evidence exists to prove those centuries were real. But the oddities remain: missing ruins, duplicated records, and astronomical data that doesn't quite fit our current timeline. So, what if we're living not in 2025, but really in the 1700s? What if the Dark Ages weren't dark at all because they never happened? The phantom time hypothesis dares to ask a terrifying question: how much of our history is real, and how much was written?
In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis drew a map that defies everything we know about history. A parchment that seems to show the world as seen from the sky, centuries before airplanes or satellites existed. The Piri Reis map, discovered in Istanbul in 1929, accurately depicts the coastlines of Europe, Africa, and South America, drawn with astonishing precision for its time. But what truly shocks researchers is what lies at the bottom of the map: a detailed outline of Antarctica without ice. According to modern science, Antarctica's icy surface has been frozen for over 6,000 years. Yet this 16th century map shows mountain ranges and river valleys that match what modern radar imaging has only recently discovered beneath the ice. How could a sailor from the 1500s know the true shape of a continent buried under miles of frozen water?
Piri Reis himself claimed his map was based on ancient source charts, older maps passed down from civilizations long gone. Some believe these sources came from Alexandria's lost library or from Atlantis, a seafaring culture with knowledge of the entire globe. Even more mysterious, the map's perspective appears to curve, as if drawn from aerial view, suggesting a level of understanding of Earth's curvature no one was supposed to have back then. So was the Piri Reis map proof that ancient explorers once mapped the entire planet, including Antarctica, long before history says they could? Or is it a fragment of knowledge left behind by a civilization that vanished, but saw the world as we only just began to rediscover it?
It was a freezing February morning in 1855 when the people of Devon, England, woke to find something terrifying. Across the freshly fallen snow stretched a single line of hoof-shaped prints, perfectly spaced, inhumanly precise, running straight through the countryside for nearly 100 miles. They went over rooftops, across frozen rivers, through walls, and even appeared on the tops of barns. No animal could have done it. No human could have walked that far, that fast, especially not leaving marks that looked like cloven hooves. Panic spread. The villagers whispered that the devil himself had walked through Devon that night, searching for lost souls or marking those who had sinned. Churches were packed, doors were bolted, and even the bravest men refused to leave their homes after dark. Scientists later tried to explain it away, saying it could have been badgers, kangaroos, or melting snow. But none of those theories held up. The tracks were too perfect, too consistent, and too impossibly long. Even modern experts can't agree on what made them. Whatever it was, it left no other trace. No hair, no scat, no tracks leading to or from the first print. It simply began and ended, as if it had appeared out of thin air. More than a century and a half later, the mystery still haunts Devon, because on that cold, silent night, something walked across England, and whatever it wasn't human.
In the summer of 1518, the streets of Strasbourg erupted into madness. It began with one woman, Frau Trophia, who stepped into the street and began to dance. There was no music, no festival, no reason. She just couldn't stop. Within days, dozens joined her, then hundreds, men, women, even children, spinning, leaping, and collapsing from exhaustion, only to rise and dance again. Witnesses said their faces were blank, their eyes empty, as if possessed by something unseen. The city tried everything. Musicians were brought in, priests held exorcisms, and doctors declared it a hot blood fever, but nothing worked. For weeks, the people of Strasbourg danced until their feet bled, until bones broke and hearts failed. Some literally danced to death. Historians have spent centuries trying to explain what happened. Some say it was mass hysteria, a kind of psychological contagion triggered by stress and famine. Others think it was ergot poisoning, a hallucinogenic mold on bread that caused delirium. But then there are those who believe it was something darker, a ritual gone wrong, a curse, or a collective possession. Medieval writings speak of Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers, whose wrath was said to strike entire towns with uncontrollable movement. Whatever the cause, the dancing plague remains one of the strangest outbreaks in human history,
proof that the mind, or something beyond it, can take control in terrifying ways. One moment, a town full of people. The next, an unstoppable rhythm of death.
Over 3,000 years ago, around 1200 BC, the ancient world collapsed almost overnight. Great empires, Egypt, Mycenae, the Hittites, and countless coastal cities fell in fire and ruin. Trade routes vanished, writing systems disappeared, and the Bronze Age ended in chaos. But no one knew why. Only a name carved into the ruins remained: the Sea Peoples. They came from nowhere, waves of warriors attacking from the sea, leaving devastation in their wake. The Egyptians barely survived their assault, carving desperate battle scenes into temple walls that showed strange ships, horned helmets, and enemies unlike any they had ever faced. But who were they? No one knows. Some say they were displaced nations, refugees from earthquakes, droughts, or war, forced to raid and conquer to survive. Others believe they were mercenaries turned against their masters, or survivors of Atlantis, seeking vengeance on the world that forgot them. What's most chilling is that the Sea Peoples didn't just conquer, they erased civilizations. Entire cultures vanished without a trace. It was as if history itself was reset, plunging humanity into a dark age that lasted centuries. To this day, archaeologists find only fragments, burnt cities, scattered weapons, ghostly inscriptions. No homeland, no leader, no explanation. The Sea Peoples came from the unknown, destroyed the known world, and disappeared back into mystery. And perhaps somewhere beneath the waves, their story still waits, the secret of those who once ended an age.
12,000 years ago, long before the pyramids, Stonehenge, or any known civilization, a group of people in what is now Turkey built something that shouldn't exist. A vast complex of stone circles and towering pillars carved with animals, symbols, and strange humanoid figures. It's called Gobekli Tepe, and it has rewritten everything we thought we knew about human history. Archaeologists say it was built around 9600 BC, at a time when humanity was supposedly made up of nomadic hunter-gatherers, people without agriculture, writing, or metal tools. Yet the builders of Gobekli Tepe moved stones weighing up to 20 tons, carved intricate reliefs, and designed a temple aligned with the stars. How could people without farms or cities create something so advanced, and why? Some believe Gobekli Tepe was the world's first temple, a place where humans gathered to worship unknown gods before civilization even began. Others think it was a knowledge center, preserving the wisdom of a lost culture that survived a global cataclysm, perhaps the very flood described in myths around the world. And then there's the most mysterious part. After centuries of use, Gobekli Tepe was deliberately buried under tons of earth, hidden as if its builders wanted to protect it from something, or from us. Every new excavation uncovers deeper layers, older structures, and even more questions. It's as if the site is whispering that our story didn't start where we think it did. Gobekli Tepe isn't just the oldest temple on Earth. It might be the last message from a forgotten civilization, one that knew far more than we ever imagined.
Imagine waking up one day and realizing that reality itself has changed, but only you seem to remember how it used to be. That's the eerie world of the Mandela effect. It all started when countless people around the world swore that Nelson Mandela had died in prison during the 1980s. They remembered the funeral, the news coverage, even the global mourning. But Mandela didn't die then. He was released, became president, and lived until 2013. So how could millions remember the same event that never happened? Soon, people began noticing other strange discrepancies. Brand names spelled differently, movie lines that no longer exist, historical facts that seemed rewritten. Was it mirror, mirror on the wall, or magic mirror on the wall? The Berenstein Bears or the Berenstein Bears? Did the Monopoly Man ever have a monocle? Or did we all just think he did? Psychologists call it confabulation, shared false memories formed by the brain's tendency to fill in gaps. But others believe something deeper is at play. Some claim the Mandela effect is proof of parallel universes, tiny glitches where timelines overlap and realities merge. Every false memory could be a remnant from another version of history, one we no longer live in. Maybe CERN's experiments tore a hole in space-time. Maybe we're slipping between realities without realizing it. Or maybe the world really did change, and these memories are the only evidence left behind. Whether it's faulty memory or fractured timelines, the Mandela effect forces us to ask a terrifying question. If our memories can't be trusted, how do we know what's real anymore?
In the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains, February 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers set out on an expedition and never came back. What rescuers found weeks later would become one of the most chilling mysteries in modern history: the Dyatlov Pass incident. When the search team reached their camp, they discovered the hikers' tent ripped open from the inside, their belongings untouched, and footprints leading barefoot into the snow. Then they found the bodies, scattered across the mountainside, some half-dressed, others horribly mutilated. One had a crushed skull. Another was missing her tongue and eyes. Their skin carried strange orange burns, and their clothes showed traces of radiation. No one could explain what had happened. Theories exploded: an avalanche, a military experiment, an escaped missile, or even aliens. Some claimed the hikers had fled in panic after seeing mysterious orange lights in the sky that night. Others whispered that the Soviet government covered up what really happened, sealing documents for decades. Experts have tried to reconstruct the scene: the angle of the slope, the state of the bodies, the bizarre decision to cut open the tent instead of using the zipper. But every answer just raises more questions. Why were they terrified enough to run barefoot into a blizzard? What caused the internal injuries without external wounds? And what explains the radiation in the middle of nowhere? Even after modern investigations, no theory fully fits. Nature doesn't behave that way. People don't die that way. Something happened on that mountain. Something beyond logic, beyond science. And to this day, Dyatlov Pass stands as a frozen monument to one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries on Earth. In the quiet English village of Woolpit, sometime in the 12th century, farmers made a discovery that would haunt history books for centuries. 2 children emerging from a pit in the ground, their skin bright green and their language unlike anything anyone had ever heard.
The boy and girl wore strange clothes made from unfamiliar materials. They refused all food until they saw raw beans, which they devoured greedily. Over time, their skin slowly lost its green hue, and the girl began to learn English. What she said shocked everyone. She claimed they came from a place called the Land of St. Martin, a world underground where everything was dimly lit, not by the sun, but by a kind of twilight glow. She said they'd been tending their father's cattle when they heard a strange bell sound, followed a tunnel of light, and suddenly found themselves in Woolpit. The boy, sadly, died soon after. But the girl grew up and lived among the villagers, though she always seemed different, as if she didn't truly belong to this world. Historians have debated the tale for centuries. Was it folklore? A metaphor for outsiders or orphans? Or could it be something far stranger? Interdimensional travelers? Alien children? Or survivors from a hidden civilization beneath our feet? The details never quite add up. The language, the diet, the luminous underground land, and that haunting green skin. Whatever the truth, the children of Woolpit remind us that not every mystery fades with time. Some just sink deeper into the earth, waiting for someone brave enough to dig them up again.
In the final, desperate years of World War II, deep within the mountains of Nazi-occupied Poland, whispers began to spread about a project so secret, even Hitler's inner circle barely knew of it. The code name was Die Glocke, the bell. According to classified documents and witness accounts, it was a metallic bell-shaped device nearly 9 feet tall, made of an unknown heavy material. When activated, it glowed with a violet-blue light and emitted a terrifying hum that warped the air around it. Scientists working on it reported horrifying effects, plants withering instantly, animals dying, and people melting or vanishing entirely. But what was it? Some say Die Glocke was an attempt to bend gravity, a weapon meant to turn the tide of war. Others believe it was far more, a time machine, or even a portal device capable of breaking the boundaries between worlds. When the war ended, the bell and everyone involved simply disappeared. Nazi records were destroyed and witnesses were silenced. Only fragments remained: sketches, testimony from SS officers, and the mysterious structure in Poland known as the henge, believed to have anchored the bell during its experiments. Years later, the bell resurfaced in conspiracy archives linked to anti-gravity research, UFO sightings, and even Roswell. Could Nazi scientists have cracked the secret of time or interdimensional travel, only for it to vanish into history? Whatever the bell truly was, it left behind a shadow of pure mystery, a blend of science, madness, and power that still captures imaginations today. And if the bell was real, the question isn't where it went.
High in the remote mountains of eastern Turkey, near the borders of Iran and Armenia, lies Mount Ararat, long believed to be the final resting place of one of humanity's oldest legends, Noah's Ark. For centuries, explorers, soldiers, and even satellite analysts have claimed to spot strange ship-shaped structures buried beneath the rock and ice. One site, known as the Durapanar Formation, looks eerily like the outline of a massive vessel, over 150 meters long, matching the exact dimensions given in the Bible. Local shepherds told stories of wooden beams and metal-like rivets found inside the formation. In the 1970s, researchers even claimed to have discovered ancient petrified wood, fossilized
deck patterns and mysterious metal fittings that didn't belong to any known ancient civilization. Could this be the remains of Noah's Ark, the vessel said to have saved humanity from a world-destroying flood? The legend of a great deluge isn't unique to the Bible. It appears in Sumerian, Babylonian, and even Native American myths. Different continents, same story. The world drowned and a few survivors rebuilt civilization. Could all of them be remembering a real prehistoric flood? Perhaps from the end of the Ice Age, when melting glaciers raised sea levels and swallowed entire lands? Skeptics argued the formation is just a natural geological shape, a coincidence carved by erosion. But believers insist that the evidence and the global flood myths are too similar to ignore. Maybe Noah's Ark isn't just a story of divine survival. Maybe it's a memory of an ancient cataclysm, and Mount Ararat still guards the proof, frozen in time, waiting for the world to uncover it.
Beneath our feet, deeper than any cave, further than any mine, legends speak of a vast, hidden world known as Agartha, a radiant underground civilization said to be home to an ancient and enlightened race that has watched humanity from the shadows for millennia. From Tibet to Norway, from ancient Hindu texts to secret Nazi expeditions, stories of Agartha appear again and again. It's described as a vast network of glowing tunnels and golden cities powered by unknown energy sources, a paradise untouched by war or disease. Some claim its capital is Shambhala, a city of light where beings of incredible wisdom guide the fate of the surface world. Others say Agartha is home to survivors of Atlantis, or even a race of beings that predate humankind, guardians of lost technology and forbidden knowledge. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, explorers, mystics, and even military powers became obsessed with finding it. The Nazis reportedly searched for entrances in Antarctica and Tibet, believing the hollow earth held secrets to ultimate power. Some conspiracy theorists say those entrances still exist, hidden in the Himalayas, the North Pole, and beneath certain pyramids. Stranger still, pilots have reported compasses spinning wildly near the poles, and ancient maps depict openings at Earth's ends, gateways to a hidden inner world. Whether Agartha is myth, metaphor, or hidden reality, it embodies humanity's oldest dream, a world beyond ours, perfect and untouched. Maybe, just maybe, the gods and heroes of legend didn't ascend to the heavens. They simply went underground.
In the heart of the Middle Ages, a mysterious story began to spread across Europe, the tale of Prester John, a powerful Christian king who ruled a hidden empire somewhere beyond the known world. His kingdom, people said, was filled with riches beyond imagination, strange creatures, and miraculous wonders, a land where faith and magic intertwined. The story first appeared in the 12th century, when a letter supposedly written by Prester John himself began circulating among kings and popes. In it, he described a realm so vast it stretched from the Tower of Babel to paradise itself. His lands were said to be home to dragons, giants, one-eyed men, and the fountain of youth. But most of all, it was a Christian utopia, a beacon of hope surrounded by a world of chaos and war. European rulers were captivated. Crusaders believed Prester John could be their ally against the Islamic empires of the East. Expeditions were launched to find him, first in India, then in Ethiopia, but the mysterious king was never found.
Centuries passed, and still explorers claim to glimpse signs of his hidden realm. Ancient churches deep in Africa, strange Christian symbols carved into forgotten ruins, and whispers of a mighty ruler who once united heaven and earth. Was Prester John a myth created to inspire faith and conquest? Or was he a memory of a real lost civilization, one erased from history but still echoing through time? The legend of Prester John reminds us of a world once full of mystery maps and impossible hope, when the blank spaces of the earth weren't empty, but filled with dreams of kings who might still be waiting to be found.
Long before the fall of Rome, when the empire stood at the height of its power, there were whispers of ancient prophecies, written by a woman who was not quite mortal. She was called the Sibyl, a mysterious oracle said to speak the words of the gods themselves. According to legend, one day an old woman appeared before King Tarquin the Proud, the last king of Rome. She carried 9 books, sacred texts said to contain prophecies of Rome's future. She offered to sell them for an enormous price. Tarquin laughed and refused. The woman burned 3 of the books and offered the remaining 6 for the same price. Again, he refused. Calmly, she burned 3 more. Finally, with only 3 books left, Tarquin panicked and paid her full price. The woman handed them over and vanished. Those 3 surviving volumes became known as the Sibylline Books, and they were kept locked deep beneath the Temple of Jupiter, guarded by priests who consulted them only in times of great crisis. Whenever disaster struck, war, plague, invasion, the Senate turned to the Sibylline prophecies for guidance. But the book's origin and power were never understood. Some said they were written in riddles that only the initiated could read. Others believed they contained visions not just of Rome's fall, but of the end of the world itself. In 83 BC, a mysterious fire consumed the temple and destroyed the Sibylline books forever. But by then, fragments had already spread, whispers of prophecy that seemed to come true again and again as Rome crumbled. Were the Sibylline books truly divine warnings, or a clever tool of control used by priests and emperors alike? No one knows, but one thing is certain. The Sibyl's words outlived the empire they foretold, and somewhere in time, her final prophecy may still be waiting to come true.
Deep in the cliffs of Mali, West Africa, lives the Dogon tribe, an ancient people whose traditions hold one of the strangest mysteries in human history. For centuries, their priests have told stories of a star system called Sirius, describing it in astonishing detail long before telescopes even existed. According to Dogon legend, the bright star we see in the night sky, Sirius A, is not alone. It has an invisible companion, a dense, dark star that orbits it every 50 years. They call it Po-Tolo, the smallest and heaviest thing in the universe, made of a metal so heavy that all the men on Earth could not lift it. Here's the mind-bending part. Modern science later confirmed that Sirius does have a hidden companion, a white dwarf, one of the densest objects in the cosmos, with an orbital period of about 50 years, exactly as the Dogon said. But how could an isolated African tribe have known this hundreds, maybe thousands of years before the invention of telescopes? The Dogon claim they were taught this knowledge by beings from Sirius itself, the Nommo, amphibious godlike visitors who came to Earth in a vessel that spun and landed with a great noise and wind. These beings, they say, gave humanity its first wisdom about the stars, the Earth, and the origins of life.
Skeptics argue that the Dogon may have learned this from modern astronomers who visited earlier than recorded. But the symbols, stories, and sacred drawings are ancient, far older than any such contact. So the question remains, did the Dogon tribe preserve a piece of cosmic knowledge long forgotten by the rest of humanity? Or is their story proof that once upon a time, someone from the stars really did come down and left us looking up ever since?
High in the mountains of ancient Greece, where mist curls around the ruins of Delphi, once stood the most powerful oracle in the ancient world, the Oracle of Apollo, known simply as the Pythia. Kings, generals, and philosophers from across the world traveled there to ask the gods their fate. But what they found wasn't divine thunder or blinding light. It was a woman sitting above a crack in the earth, inhaling sweet, intoxicating fumes that sent her into trances. From her mouth came the cryptic words that shaped empires. For centuries, people believed the oracle truly spoke for the god Apollo, channeling his will through prophecy. But modern science uncovered something strange beneath Delphi's stones. Fault lines that leak gases from the earth itself. Among them, ethylene, a natural hallucinogen known to cause euphoria, dizziness, and visions. It seems the Pythia's divine madness may have been a natural yet perfectly timed phenomenon. When the right conditions aligned, gases from deep underground would rise up, filling the temple chamber and sending the oracle into her sacred trance. Ancient priests interpreted her ecstatic mutterings, shaping them into poetry and prophecy. Her words changed history, advising kings when to go to war, warning empires of their doom, even guiding the spread of democracy itself. So was Delphi truly a portal to the gods, or a masterful blend of faith, geology, and psychology? Maybe the ancients didn't just believe in divine power. Maybe they harnessed it from the earth itself, turning volcanic breath into the voice of destiny.
Across Europe, carved into ancient cathedrals, abbeys, and chapels, a strange face stares down from the stone, a man's head woven with leaves and vines, his mouth spilling foliage as if nature itself is breathing through him. He's known as the Green Man, and his presence in holy Christian sites is one of the strangest mysteries in religious history. The Green Man predates Christianity by centuries, appearing in Celtic, Roman, and pagan traditions as a symbol of rebirth, fertility, and the eternal cycle of nature. He represented the living spirit of the earth, dying in winter, reborn each spring. Yet somehow, when Christianity spread across Europe, his image wasn't erased, it was absorbed. Why would medieval masons secretly carve a pagan god into the very walls of Christian churches? Some believe it was an act of quiet rebellion, stonecutters preserving the old faith under the guise of decoration. Others think the church knowingly allowed it, blending pagan imagery to help convert local populations. But many researchers suspect something deeper, that the Green Man represents a truth both pagans and Christians understood: the unity of life, death, and renewal, the divine power flowing through all creation. You can find his face hidden in the corners of Notre Dame, Westminster Abbey, and countless forgotten chapels across Europe, always watching, always growing through the cracks of time. Maybe the Green Man was never erased, because he couldn't be. Because every spring when the world turns green again, his spirit rises, whispering that no matter how many empires fall, nature always returns.
In the dark cells of 17th century France, behind the cold stone walls of the Bastille, there lived a prisoner whose identity was so secret that even the guards were forbidden to see his face. His head was hidden behind an iron mask, and he remained locked away for decades, known only as the Man in the Iron Mask. No one knew his name, no one knew his crime, yet his treatment was extraordinary. He was given fine clothes, good food, and kept in near total isolation. His jailers were sworn to silence under penalty of death. When he died in 1703, all records of his existence were erased. His cell was scrubbed clean, his belongings burned, his name struck from the prison ledger. Only the mask remained, a haunting symbol of one of France's greatest unsolved mysteries. But who was he? Some believed he was the twin brother of King Louis XIV, hidden away to protect the monarchy. Others claimed he was a disgraced nobleman, a political spy, or even the real king himself, replaced by a double who ruled in his name. There were whispers that his mask wasn't iron at all, but black velvet, designed to humiliate and conceal. Writers like Voltaire and Alexandre Dumas immortalized the tale, turning it into legend, a story of betrayal, power, and secrecy at the heart of royal France. But behind the fiction lies a chilling truth. The French crown really did imprison a man for decades under total secrecy, his identity still unknown. Whoever he was, his silence became his curse, and his mask his immortality. 300 years later, the question still echoes through history. Who was the man the king wanted the world to forget?
In the heart of London, within the impenetrable walls of the Tower of London, the glittering crown jewels of England have symbolized royal power for nearly 1,000 years. But few know that once they were stolen in a heist so bold it nearly destroyed the monarchy's pride. It happened in 1671, under the rule of King Charles II. The priceless treasures, the royal orb, scepters, and St. Edward's crown itself were guarded by an aging ex-soldier named Talbot Edwards, who lived with his family inside the tower. One day, a charismatic nobleman named Colonel Thomas Blood befriended Edwards. For weeks he visited often, charming the old man and his daughter. Then, one morning, Blood arrived with his nephew, supposedly to meet her. Instead, he knocked Edwards unconscious, seized the crown, and began hammering it flat so it could fit under his cloak. They were caught fleeing the tower, red-handed. Yet here's where the mystery deepens. Instead of execution, King Charles II not only pardoned Blood, but gave him land and a pension. Why? No one knows. Was Blood acting under royal orders to test the tower's defenses? Was it blackmail? Or did he steal something more valuable than gold? Perhaps a hidden secret within the jewels themselves? Though the crown jewels were recovered, many claimed pieces were switched or altered, and some ancient regalia never reappeared at all. Even today, a few historians whisper that the real treasures of the English crown may lie somewhere else, hidden by a thief who walked free. The tower still guards its crowns with unmatched security, but behind the glass and ceremony, one question remains. Did England ever truly get its jewels back?
During the chaos of World War II, when the fate of Europe hung in the balance, the U.S. military deployed a unit so secret and strange that its very existence sounded like fiction. They weren't elite soldiers or hardened spies. They were artists, actors, and sound engineers. Their mission? To deceive the Nazis using nothing but art and illusion. They called it the Ghost Army. Armed with inflatable tanks, fake radio chatter, and massive loudspeakers blasting the sounds of marching troops, the Ghost Army created entire phantom divisions out of thin air. They could make 30 men seem like 30,000, fooling enemy reconnaissance planes, diverting attacks, and saving thousands of lives. In one operation before the D-Day invasion, they staged a fake army led by General Patton, complete with wooden aircraft, rubber jeeps, and dummy camps that looked real from the sky. The Germans took the bait, moving their forces away from the real invasion site in Normandy. These soldiers of art were masters of illusion, painting shadows on vehicles to make them look 3D, using sound effects recorded in Hollywood, even forging entire networks of fake radio transmissions to mimic real battalions. For decades, their story remained classified, hidden from the public. Only in recent years has the world learned how close we came to losing and how creativity, not firepower, helped turn the tide of war. The Ghost Army didn't just fight with weapons, they fought with imagination. And in doing so, they proved one haunting truth. Sometimes the greatest power in war is illusion itself.
In the early 15th century, long before Columbus set sail, a fleet of massive Chinese treasure ships sailed across the oceans under the command of Admiral Zheng He. Commissioned by the Ming Dynasty, these expeditions were unlike anything the world had ever seen. Hundreds of ships, some over 400 feet long, carrying thousands of sailors, diplomats, and exotic goods. Zheng He traveled farther than any explorer of his time, through the South China Sea, across the Indian Ocean, and even as far as the eastern coasts of Africa. But some researchers argue he may have gone even farther, reaching the Americas centuries before Columbus. Evidence is tantalizing yet disputed. Chinese-style coins and porcelain found in South and Central America, maps showing coastlines resembling the Americas, and accounts of ancient Chinese ships seen by indigenous peoples. Some even suggest that early Mesoamerican architecture contains subtle influences from these mysterious visitors. If true, it would mean the history books are hiding a shocking secret: that China discovered the New World long before Europe did, and the records of these voyages were deliberately erased or ignored to protect Ming imperial prestige. Zheng He returned with treasure, exotic animals, and envoys, but his voyages abruptly stopped. The Ming court turned inward, burning records and forbidding further naval exploration. The question remains: did Zheng He and his fleet touch the shores of the Americas, leaving behind silent footprints of a forgotten connection between East and West? If true, it would mean the history books are hiding a shocking secret: that China discovered the New World long before Europe did, and the records of these voyages were deliberately erased or ignored to protect Ming imperial prestige.
Beneath the eternal gaze of the Great Sphinx of Giza, Egypt's most enigmatic monument, there may lie a secret even older than the sands themselves, a hidden chamber that has eluded archaeologists for centuries. Rumors of subterranean rooms beneath the Sphinx have persisted since ancient times. Some claimed the Greeks and Romans knew of them, whispering about tunnels leading to treasures, ancient records, or sacred knowledge. Modern scans using radar and seismic imaging have detected anomalies beneath the paws and chest, suggesting voids or hidden cavities. But every excavation has been blocked by solid stone or sand. What could be inside? Some believe the chamber holds the Hall of Records, a legendary archive said to contain the wisdom of Atlantis or an advanced pre-Egyptian civilization.
Others think it may house pharaohs' tombs, priceless artifacts, or even evidence of extraterrestrial contact hinted at in ancient hieroglyphs. The Sphinx itself is carved from limestone, but beneath its surface lies layers of bedrock, shaped and smoothed in ways that defy conventional construction techniques. Could the hidden chamber have been part of a larger complex, buried deliberately to protect secrets too powerful for humanity? For decades, explorers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists have probed its mysteries, but the Sphinx guards its secret with silent patience. Whatever lies below may reshape history, rewrite archaeology, or reveal truths about civilizations we thought we understood. Until then, the Sphinx continues to stare across the Giza plateau, eternal, silent, and guarding a secret no one has yet unearthed.
Among the world's most beautiful treasures, few carry a darker reputation than cursed diamonds. Jewels so magnificent they inspired obsession, wealth, and death. The most infamous is the Hope Diamond, a deep blue gem weighing 45.52 carats. Discovered in India in the 17th century, it passed through the hands of kings, jewelers, and socialites, and each owner met a tragic fate. Kings were overthrown, heirs died mysteriously, and wealthy owners faced ruin. Even modern collectors report a streak of misfortune surrounding it. But the Hope Diamond is just the beginning. The Koh-i-Noor, another legendary gem, was said to bring death to male owners while favoring women. The Black Orlov carried tales of suicides, murders, and betrayals. Across centuries, these stones seem to attract jealousy, greed, and violence wherever they go. Scientists say it's just superstition, coincidence, greed, and human folly. But historians note an uncanny pattern. Those who coveted the diamonds often met untimely or violent ends. Some believe the gems were cursed deliberately by their original owners or by priests to protect them from theft. Others whisper that the stones carry a trapped energy, a malevolent force that punishes anyone who dares to claim them. Perhaps the greatest curse of all isn't supernatural, it's human nature. Desire, envy, and obsession turn beauty into a weapon, and brilliance into a trap. The next time you see a diamond glittering in the light, remember, some treasures aren't meant to be owned. Some are meant to haunt those who touch them.